It's Saturday evening. It's time to talk about the very best comic books for the world of indies, Marvel, and DC. And we've got 9 big comic books to recommend this week. And with me, as always, is Drew. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing fantastic, Wes. It's Memorial Day weekend. Tomorrow's race day. But I make time to talk about the best comics of the week. So let's talk about the very best comics of the week.
Well, let's get into the Energon universe first. Cobra Commander number 5. Josh Williamson writing, Andrea Milana on art. This is the finale of the Cobra Commander miniseries. Finally, Destro and Mars coming together with Cobra Commander, creating what will become Cobra. Feels like he's already secured his out. He's got a couple of Arby's working for him now. Looking like a pretty fearsome foe here. It did feel a little bit weird, like they might have skipped ahead like 4 months as far as the timeline here. But once again, a very good conclusion. Not quite as strong as Duke, or not nearly as strong as Duke, but still a really good comic book.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this issue, and I love that it's like kind of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So yeah, you have Destro and Cobra Commander joining alliances, and one of the best moments. There's some levity in this book too. There's some great humor. Like there's one moment when Cobra Commander is showing Destro down through his lab, and he's talking about, oh, everyone's so happy to be here. Everyone's great. Everyone's fantastic working here. And there's one scientist. He talks to Destro. He's like, kill me now, please kill me. It's a great moment. And I love what they're setting up for the future. It's just they're setting up their own Cobra, their own G.I. Joe universe here, and I really dig it. If you're afraid of getting bogged down by the long continuity of 300 plus issues of Real American Hero, you can jump right on this, and it's fantastic. It is from Jump Street. It has been amazing, and Joshua Williamson, holy crap, 2 for 2 now in the Energon universe. He killed it. I mean, between Duke and Cobra Commander, both were solid runs, and solid recommendation any day of the week. Do check out Cobra Commander. It is fantastic.
And it sounds like Josh Williamson will be returning to this G.I. Joe stuff with codename G.I. Joe. Don't know if it's ongoing or it's going to be a miniseries, but hopefully we'll get those details very soon. Next up, we're recommending Rook Exodus number 2. Jeff Johns writing, Jason Fabok on art. This is part of the Ghost Machine imprint that they've got going on there. I just had a whole video talking about what I like just as far as the overall setup of Rook Exodus. Issue number 2 really dials it up quite a bit. Lots of insane art from Jason Fabok. As much as I like Jeff Johns, he absolutely steals the show on this one when it comes to the different wardens that we have and the animals that they're controlling. When you see that pack of bears, and they've got like those weird dudes like in cockpits on the backs of the bears because they're so enormous, you can tell they want to wreck stuff. And I must say that Direwolf, who makes her debut in this comic book or this issue, is quite sexy, even with all the scars.
Yeah, that's why I love Fabok, man. He's not afraid to draw beautiful women and beautiful men, very handsome men. And it's a visual medium. It's going to be visually appealing to the eye. And he does that. And, this book is a very beautiful looking book. Jason Fabok is a terrific artist. I mean, everything, like you said, from the people to the space shuttle. The space shuttle he wants to get on, it looks amazing. I can't begin to imagine how long that took Fabok to illustrate, because it is so elaborately and intricately designed. It's beautiful. And then when you see it, what happens to it by the end of the book, it's like all that work gone, done. But yeah, this book was so flipping fun. This was my pick of the week until I read another one this week. This is my second best book of the week. I had a blast. The crazy ideas, what they're doing with the creatures. I don't understand how you cannot have fun with a book like this if you're working on it. If you're Jason Fabok and you're reading like huge bears with like laser beams and all like chasing after someone, I'm like, yeah, take my money any day of the week. That's gonna be fun to draw. This book is just fun, and it's every bang for your buck. And arguably, I think you can agree with me, Wes, probably the best of the Ghost Machine universe. Yeah, do check out Rook, guys. You're not gonna be disappointed.
I do agree that it's the best of the Ghost Machine universe stuff that they're doing. And it's my tie for the pick of the week. I think there's one more book that's just as good in Conan, which we'll get here to it a bit. But Rook Exodus is absolutely fantastic. We've also got Void Rivals number 9, also a part of the Energon universe. Robert Kirkman writing, Mateus Lopes on art. I think a lot of people have forgotten that this is part of Energon. It's hard to miss it when you see the cover, and you've got Springer on the cover from the Transformers, and we've got Solila and Derek in the wasteland, severely injured after the attack by that assassin dude. And he comes back for more, but thankfully by that time they've run into Springer, and he decides to give him a helping hand. And it's some pretty good art and really good action in this one. and it was great seeing Springer.
Yeah, it was. It's great seeing Springer again. And the artist of this does a great job drawing, the Transformers and the Quintessons and everything. Yeah, and I could honestly see this artist at some point doing the Transformers because he's really damn good. And what they're setting up here, the future, like all the ties and the different factions with the different strings that they're pulling. Like you said, this is the one book in the Energon universe people often overlook or have forgotten about, but it's still really damn good. It's Robert Kirkman. He's doing a fantastic job here trying to set up his own new characters within the Energon universe. And he's doing a fine job with it. I really dig it. It's really good. And it's unfortunate because it just gets lost in the pack when you have the other ones, but it's still a very fun read. And like you said, we get Springer. Check it out for that. Come on.
Absolutely great week for the Energon universe. I'm surprised they doubled up, but I certainly appreciate it. Next up, we've got TMNT Saturday Morning Adventures, number 13, Eric Burnham writing, Sarah Meyer on art. And I love this series. I've loved it from the beginning all the way to here. But this might be my favorite issue so far. It's so much fun. You've got Mr. Og. He's taken TMNT into another universe, and he wants them to do like a 5-man battle royal type of thing. But their opponents are going to be different versions of the Turtles from different alternate universes. So we've got Jenica from the IDW series. We've got one like the Nickelodeon Turtles. We've got the original Mirage Turtles involved, and we end up getting 5-on-4 of this one. And it's just so badass. And you can tell Sarah Meyer and Eric Burnham are having the time of their lives. And this was like absolutely cannot miss seeing the original Turtles from the cartoons interacting with all the other different versions. Not that we haven't seen it before, but it always works.
Yeah, it always works. And it's just, like you said, this is one of those books this week where I was smiling, grinning from ear to ear this entire time because it's just fun seeing them all interact with each other. And I love the moments with the original Mirage Turtle. I think he's fighting Raphael. And Raphael's like, who writes your dialogue? What is going on here? I love that stuff. It's great. And what they're setting up by the end of this issue, it's fun. Like I saw that last page. I'm like, oh, this is going to be sweet. I can't wait. But yeah, I love all the art, the dynamic art in this, the panel breaks, like we have a character going through like 2 or 3 different dimensions, he's breaking through those panels. It's fantastic, crazy, creative stuff. And I'm going to say it again. I said it before. Eric Burnham, he needs to be getting more work. He needs to be put on the main TMNT title. He has earned it. He's shown it. He is ready for prime time. And do check this one out, guys. It may say Saturday Morning Adventures, but it is a hell of a lot of fun.
Absolutely. If you're not reading any TMNT comic books right now, this is the one that you absolutely should be reading because it's so absolutely amazing. Next up, we have Nottingham, number 12 from Mad Cave. David Hazan writing, Shane Connery-Volk on art. These are released in 5-issue story arcs. We're on issue number 2, obviously, of volume number 3 here. And we've had a lot of dynamics flipped when it comes to this version of Robin Hood. Robin Hood has sided with King Richard. We have the Sheriff of Nottingham being held in Nottingham by the Maid Marian, who's also trying to fleece the merry men and all that kind of stuff. Lots of political machinations going on inside Nottingham, people stabbing each other in the back, trying to execute each other, all while having King Richard and Robin Hood on the outside laying siege to the castle. Lots of intrigue going on in this one, and Shane Connery-Volk continues to kick ass and take names.
Yeah, Shane Connery-Volk, we were discussing his artwork, I forget how long ago, Max, Kyle, and I. If you really compare his art from the very first issue to now, you really, really see the growth he has gone through and how much more dynamic and visually stunning he has gotten in his storytelling. It's amazing. In this issue, it's incredible. This is a guy I would love to see on Conan at some point. Just a bloody barbaric comic I can see this guy doing, just nailing, and he'd be fantastic. I love what the story is setting up. I love the fight in this. We get Little John. Been a while since we've seen Little John, so he may have to fight a main character in this, and may go pretty bloody. You have to check that one out. And what they're setting up at the end of this, it's like we have like 3 or 4 different factions effectively trying to get control of Nottingham, and I cannot wait to see what happens next because I'm on the edge of my seat reading this, and this was my pick for book of the week. I had so much fun with this, and any time we get this series, it's always a delight. It's a treasure, and we need more books like Nottingham. It is a fantastic comic book.
If you work for Marvel Comics and you're an editor and you haven't tried to hire Shane Connery-Volk for a Wolverine series, what is wrong with you? Call the guy. He's the guy you should put on that book. Next up, we have Conan the Barbarian, number 11, Jim Zub writing, Roberto De La Torre on art. I think this, along with Rook Exodus number 2, are my books of the week, what I thought were the best comic books that were released out there. And this thing really gets the heart pumping. We've got King Cole teaming up with Conan with Brule in tow. They've reached Atlantis, to the home of King Cole. They're into the bowels, and the next thing they know, they're fighting dudes that probably haven't seen light in 100 years, all making it out to this final resting place, this tomb that's got a big sword there. And my goodness, the finale of what happens in this comic book and the huge reveal on the last page had my jaw on the floor. It was absolutely phenomenal. Roberto De La Torre, he was made to illustrate this comic book character in the series.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, if you had put him on Conan back in the 1970s, he would be doing it. He'd been a perfect fit, honestly. And he feels like an artist just out of time, just a timeless artist. And that is fantastic and so very hard to find. He is such an amazing artist. And we can't forget the letterer. The lettering in this book is phenomenal. And I keep saying it. I'm going to say it again. This is arguably, in my opinion, the best lettered comic book in the industry and one of the best colored books in the industry and best illustrated. It is the best book in the industry. It's hard to argue that. This is Nottingham, in my opinion. Yeah, I love the story in this with this, the traveling down through the subterranean network of Atlantis, the different caverns, how beautiful the 2 one-page splash spreads that Roberto does. They are so beautiful, and the fight scenes are beautiful. And the sword, it's like, I don't know if you recognize that sword, Wes. It seemed very, very familiar from a film, a couple films that we may have seen in our past. And I was like, yes, it's the sword. But I can't wait to see what happens next, because like you said, that last page, holy crap. It's one of those things where I got to see how our heroes are going to get out of this, because it seems like an unwinnable situation, but we'll see what happens. Guys, Conan, arguably the best book in the world right now. Do check this out.
Yeah, that was quite thrilling. And if you're a fan of the movies, I think you're going to like some of the little nods and winks to you during that comic book. Finally, on the indie scene, we do have Feral number 3, Tony Fleek's writing, Trish Forstner on art. And we have this zombie rabies apocalyptic breakout. And we might have humans trying to destroy the animals they believe could be infected with rabies that might actually be worse than that, but might be even affecting humans at this point. And obviously, the art is very reminiscent of a Disney cartoon, which is a juxtaposition because this is absolutely a zombie comic book. Tony Fleeks is really on fire right now with this in Uncanny Valley.
Yes, and he really just shows. Well, I know I don't really. I'm not the biggest fan of Local Man, but he's really showing his range with what the stories he can write between Local Man, Uncanny Valley, and this. 3 completely different, tonally different books, and this is the one I cling to the most. Uncanny Valley is a close second, but this one, I love it. It's like you said, it's 28 Days Later mixed with American Tail, 5 Goes West, or the Aristocats. It's fantastic, and it's a very kinetic, fast-paced story, much like 28 Days Later. And you just want to see how these cats are going to make it out of it alive. But it has its moments of levity too. The moments of comedy in this are pretty damn funny. We've seen what the cats are doing to the humans trying to escape. And you got like what the cats are trying to do to catch, what the humans are trying to do to catch the cats with like these shiny dangly toys, and the cats are attracted to them in the cages. It's funny stuff. It's good stuff. And what they set up at the end of this, it's bringing in a hell of a lot more questions, because I want to see what is going on in this world, what's happened. And it's a very great mystery. It's very bloody. It does get graphic at points, but it's a very damn good tale. And Trish and Tony, they knocked out another one out of the park between this and Stray Dogs.
Yeah, the indie scene absolutely dominated this week. We do have a Marvel and a DC book, but Indies dominated 7 recommendations there, but we do have a book from Marvel Comics, Symbiote Spider-Man 2099, number 3, Peter David writing, Roge Antonio on art. I really liked the first issue. The second issue, there were way too many twists and turns for my personal taste. But finally, we get into this third one, and it really settles in. I didn't realize we were going to get a Venom 2099, Spider-Man with the symbiote Venom kind of thing, 2099, teaming up as a tag team. And it was really exciting. Roge Antonio has a whole lot of fun with it. And there are so many weird cameos in here. We get Vulture 2099. We get Doctor Strange 2099. This is a whole lot of fun. This doesn't feel like what Marvel are trying to accomplish right now. And it's nice to have something that feels like a bit of an oddity in the Marvel universe that is just really bogged down in boringness and mundane storytelling, where they're just going out there and destroying everybody together. It was good.
Yeah, and I think we haven't mentioned the big name involved in this, Peter David. Peter David is the writer of this. Peter David, once again, a guy who is not in the best of health right now, and he is killing it. He is just riding circles around most of the jackasses at Marvel right now, and he's killing it. And he understands, first and foremost, the comic book needs to be entertaining. You need to entertain the reader. And he writes a very, very entertaining story. And he's got me very interested in this world, because I read some of the 2099 stuff growing up. I read mostly Doom. Stay tuned with them. He may or may not show up at some point. Can't say, can't confirm. But he has fun with this, and I have fun with this because it shows. He's having a blast writing these characters because he used to write these characters. And I love the element of just having our Spider-Man being infected with the Venom symbiote and how it's affecting his mind. And because it's one of those things where we don't really see that in the main Marvel universe, where the symbiote affecting someone's mind. It's just like, oh, hey, I'm wearing a symbiote now. Okay, cool. I'm Venom. But no, there's going to be a cost to it. There's going to be some problems with it. And we see that in this. And I appreciate that. And I like what he set up here. And I cannot wait for the next issue.
Yeah, I was totally surprised after issue number 2 fell a little bit flat for me. Totally redeemed itself on issue number 3. And we have one more comic book recommendation from DC, Superman 14, House of Brainiac, Chapter 4, Josh Williamson writing, Rafa Sandoval on art. After a little bit of a dip as far as what was going on, I think it really recovers itself here in Superman 14. We get the big clash between Lobo and Superman. It does not go all that well for him. I don't know that I completely buy the story on why he's able to be held by chains. And then we finally get the big revelation from Brainiac on why he needs the Superman family, why he needs Superman, because he needs more power to bring to fruition the Brainiac Queen. I did get some alien queen vibes that someone else had mentioned on Aficionados today. When this moment happens, she looks to be enormously large and powerful. It was a really good issue. I really enjoyed it. Rafa Sandoval with Miguel Mendoza helping out on art have really been the all-stars that have kept this thing together. Just hoping upon hope that Josh Williamson does not drop the ball coming down the stretch, because that is a bit of his reputation on DC big events and stories.
He has really dropped the ball between Night Terrors, Infinite Dark Crisis on Multiverse Secret Wars, whatever the hell that was called, and his Flash run, how that ended. Yeah, just they haven't been the best. But he's, like I said, I think he's really having fun at the Energon universe. That's where he's really getting to shine, I think. But this issue, I thought it was all right. It was not my favorite issue of the week. It's not the worst. It was okay. The fight, I got to agree with Dylan on this one. This fight was very underwhelming to me. It wasn't the fight I wanted to see. Honestly, this whole issue should have been like 22 splash pages of Superman and Lobo going at it in this bar. And I think that would have been probably the best issue of the week, honestly, but we didn't really get that. The fight was over before we knew it, unfortunately, but it's fine. And the big bride at the end, the Brainiac Queen, whatever. Yeah, I got alien Borg Queen from First Contact vibes from her. I know Doc is really into her. Doc really digs that stuff. Yeah, he got turned on majorly by this, from what I'm told. But yeah, the issues are right. We're just setting up. I really hope we get a big good payoff at the end of this, because I'm not really buying it so far, but it's okay. But the art is arguably the best part of this book.
But you are a Lobo mark, and the main man wasn't the main event, so it probably made you a little unhappy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Now, if people are interested in what you're doing, because you're not just a comic book critic, you're actually a comic book writer, and you've got some stuff happening at Dallas Fan Expo in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely. So in 2 weeks at Dallas Fan Expo, for the first time in print, we will have the Unholy Nightmare #1 preview edition for sale. We're going to have 2 covers. We're going to have a trade dress and a virgin cover, both of them by Gabriel Mangum. He illustrated both. They're both an homage to Image crossover month. I believe it was from Cyberforce 8 and Spawn 25 when Silvestri and McFarlane swapped covers on Cyberforce and Spawn. And he wanted to have fun with it and be doing 90s homage, since Unholy Nightmare is an Image 90s homage comic book. And they turned out beautifully. Everyone's loving it. And I can't wait to hold them in my hand at Dallas Fan Expo. And I hope you guys get a chance to check this out. I'll be there. Gabe will be there. Unfortunately, Aaron won't be there. But yeah, we'll be there to sell these and get them signed for the very first time. Do check out Unholy Nightmare, guys. And I hope to see you at Dallas Fan Expo.
I will warn you, if you see Drew at Dallas Fan Expo and he tries to give you a hug, he's going to go for a big hug, and he might grab 2 hands full of you know what. Do not let that sway you, because you're going to want a copy of this, and he is the best hugger in the world. If you would like more comic book reviews and recommendations and things to stay away from, we can't cover that all here on Thinking Critical YouTube. You know, the algorithm just doesn't support 2.5-hour conversations just about comic books. But if you go over to Thinking Critical Patreon and you support what we're doing there and our mission here on YouTube, we like to give you great podcasts like the Hot or Not Show with Jim from Weird Science. You go and you support us there, you get that, and you get the full shebang, everything from Marvel, DC, and indie comic books a few days earlier than even this, and even the bad stuff. If you haven't checked out Thinking Critical Patreon, there's a link in the video description.